real estate itself as a business now can be an incredibly painful and expensive learning experience. And it's with that in mind that we decided to launch a series of videos and articles actually called our Don't Get Screwed series, quite seriously. And in it, we want to teach you some of the really hard-earned and hard-spent lessons that we've watched other people endure, sometimes to the tune of $10,000, $20,000, or even $500,000. And we want to kind of go through some of those because they're really basic, but can save you a ton of money right up front. And so we wanted to start this series. And with that in mind, with all the volcanoes seemingly on the island going off all around us this summer, we decided to ring in this new series with the first of our segments called Don't Get Screwed, the Lava Edition. Meet Bill. Now, Bill is rich. I mean, not Elon or Kanye rich, but got a few patents to his name. He owns a bunch of properties. So obviously, Bill's doing all right. Now, it's with that knowledge that in 2018, I believe at the beginning of it, I agreed to do something I'd never done before, which was to help a buyer purchase property in a high-risk lava zone. Now, I'll never forget, this is a beautiful compound retreat property with multiple outbuildings. We were standing on the deck, myself and the seller's agent, who was an excellent agent. And we were both actually reminding Bill and warning him this is Lava Zone 2, which is a higher risk lava zone. You'll need additional insurance, etc. And I'll never forget, Bill looked both of us in the eye and he said, well, what's the chances that lava could happen? Fast forward a year later, less than a year later, and he's watching from afar on a webcam a 40 to 50 foot wall of lava go careening past his house. Now, Bill's home would actually go on to dodge the 2018 Kilauea lava flow, not by literally relocating itself, but the flow itself, like I mentioned, went cascading past him. But unfortunately, over 700 homeowners were not so lucky, in fact. Now, Bill, of course, ended up being able to keep his home. We were able to resell it for him about less than a year afterwards and recoup most, if not all, of his expenses. So things actually ended up panning out well for him. It's probably worth going through the lava hazard risk zones with you, in pretty organized fashion here, so you can understand really what they mean. Now, what is in a number? Now, the U.S. Geological Service semi-confusingly ranks lava hazard zones from 1 through 9. Now, lava zone 1 actually means the highest risk lava zone, where you can kind of think of that as there are few places that lava likes flowing better than lava zone 1. Actually, none better. That's lava's favorite place to go on the island. And that encompasses really, like you can think of certain portions of the very southern parts of the Big Island, southeast flanks here and there. Not a majority of the island by any stretch, but it is our highest risk area and virtually impossible to insure. You can get home insurance on it, but it's extraordinarily expensive, just like places like right up on the maximum hurricane risk zone on the shores of eastern Florida, where you have to go chase down policies through people like Lloyd's of London, Chubb, etc. But those can be thousands, monthly, to say the least. Now, lava zone 2, slightly less risky. That's the zone where Bill's home was, and a lot of the homes that were lost in Leilani estates. And so it's not without risk. You can get lava hazard insurance, additional lava hazard insurance, but it is required that you get additional lava hazard insurance if you purchase a home there. And that can be a few $100 extra a month, which can be out of reach for some people. But other than that, it can affect your ability to sell your home in the future, because future buyers are going to have to get a hold of that insurance and are going to be aware of those risks, right? Now, zone 3 and 4, which encompass most of the towns of Hilo and Kona, that's considered a lower risk lava hazard zone, meaning that no additional insurance is required when purchasing homes there. The house I'm sitting in talking to you right now is located just above the university on the east side of the island in lava hazard zone 3. And I own property in the national park in Volcano, right next to the national park actually, in Lava Zone 3. In any case, it's where most of the island chooses to reside. Now, does that mean it's no risk? Absolutely not. That is not the case. In fact, in multiple times, when I was a kid, I was 2 weeks from being evacuated due to a Mauna Loa lava flow just up the slope from where I'm sitting right now. That was in the early 80s when Mauna Loa and Kilauea were going off simultaneously together, much as they did just a few weeks ago here. As many of you saw in news, thankfully that died down, and all we have going right now, just a little summit eruption in Kilauea caldera itself. But anyway, point being zone 2 and 3 zone 3 and 4 lower risk, but not no risk. Point in fact, in 1881, there was a lava flow that really actually entered Hilo in the Kukuao area, all the way going down into Moho'uli Street. You can see it now, kind of where things ended, quite near the university, in fact. And at that time, Princess Ke'eli, excuse me, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, Ke'elikolani, sorry, Hawaiian friends, who was the last of the Kamehameha line of royals as far as direct descendants, actually came to Hilo, stood face to face with this lava flow, prayed and threw in offerings, handkerchiefs, and of all things, bourbon, very expensive bourbon, and seemingly stopped the lava flow in its tracks. After that offering, it was this incredibly notable event, at the time, and she was credited by many, with saving the town of Hilo from complete destruction. This was a massive flow, and there's actually a great article written about this that we'll link to, written by both my own father, Ben Gaddis, and Dr. Jim Kawahikawa of US Geological Service, who worked with Hawaii Volcanoes Observatory, for ages, called The Lava Flow That Came to Hilo. You can Google it easily, filled with incredible historical facts online. Really entertaining read in hindsight, having some distance from that, but also a reminder of what's possible both in Hilo and Kona, right? Like I mentioned. And the west side of the island, has its own events that have destroyed villages and things in the past. Now, to really get into what we would call, safe hazard zones or virtually minimal risk hazard zones, you really have to go north of the Wailuku River in Hilo, for example, and go into lava zones 8 and 9. 8 being along the Hamakua coast, for example, slopes of Mauna Kea, which people meaning scientists, feel is taking the latter end of an extremely long nap heading into a coma, if you will. You can read up on that, but highly unlikely to erupt in our lifetimes. And of course, zone 9, the very top of the island, the oldest volcanic range that we have on the island, which is the Kohala mountain range, which is considered to not erupt again, considered to be, I may be phrasing this wrong, I don't know if the phrase is extinct exactly, but not expected to erupt again in the future. One of the most beautiful parts of the island, by the way, most beautiful part of the state, just about, in my opinion, along that coastline where King Kamehameha is credited to have been raised and grown up. So anyway, those are kind of the zones, 1 through 9, like I said, they act in reverse. Now, you might ask yourself, with all of that going on, like, why on earth? Why would people move to the Big Island? Why would people choose to live there? Well, you could phrase the question just the same of, why would people choose to live in Florida, anywhere near the coastline, right? With reputation for frequent damaging hurricanes, or living in parts of California, Colorado, even Oregon, Washington, that are prone to wildfires. People live in high risk, extremely high risk wildfire zones, have to carry additional insurance. High risk high risk hurricane zones carry additional insurance. Kansas with its tornadoes, right, that actually hit at a moment's notice, much like wildfires can. For most parts of the island, good chunks of it anyway, lava hazard evacuation times can be a few weeks. But in some of those high-risk zones, they can be as little as a couple of hours, zone 1, for example, right? So I hope that helps you to break down the various zones on the Big Island and their potential ramifications. Along the way, we've been posting some imagery for you, and we'll post links to lava hazard maps, what these things mean. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop us a line. You can write to me, nate@gzhawaii.com. You can visit our website, gzhawaii.com. Please click and subscribe. We have a lot more content for you on Hawaii-related, real estate and land matters. It'll give you a notification with the bell, of course, if you hit that subscribe button. But we really appreciate it. And thanks for tuning in. And we'll follow up next time with our Don't Get Screwed series. Aloha.